everybody, good morning. This is Jean here, Jean Truelove from Truelove Quilts for You. I am working on my pink and gray bandana quilt. My little sort of a throw size quilt, 54 by 72 inches. Not my pattern. Go to createwithclaudia.com. It's a free pattern. I'm just showing how I've made it. I'll just put up a picture of the sort of the sample I made, and then this one, which is the gray, pink, and white, made out of 3 different colorway bandanas. Very simple beginner quilt. It's actually just 48 9.5 inch squares and 9.5 inch blocks put together in a pleasing pattern. As I've said along in my playlist for my other video, you can absolutely just use 3 different fabrics, 3 different high contrast fabrics to get the look that's desirable. The previous video I showed you how we prepare the actual bandanas, how we cut them down into the usable blocks, and this video is showing you how I'm actually marking and sewing the half square triangles. It's not a super quick project. You have to take your time with each step, but that's the beauty of it. It is easy to do. Just take your time. If you're a beginner, it's super simple to put these 48 blocks together. But the important part, this video will show you how I trim them or square them down to a perfect 9.5 inch square. If you don't have it in your sewing arsenal, you know me, I don't like a lot of gadgets and gizmos and rulers, but I do have a 9.5 inch square ruler. Super easy, because quite a lot of standard quilting blocks would measure, you say 6.5 inch, 9.5 inch, 12.5 inch. So I found it very valuable, and I'll show you in the video to come how I took my cut down half square triangles and actually perfected them into the 9.5 inch square. Very important also is to square them up, to take that sliver away from the edges. Maybe you'll just have a little dog ear, maybe you'll have a little bit more, because everybody's 1/4 inch seam is a little bit different. But yeah, so this video is showing you that. The next video, I will be putting up my design wall, which I'll show you at the end of this. It's just a flannel backed tablecloth, and everybody can have one. Just stuck up somehow. You can even masking tape it to the wall if need be. I have mine with nice clamps up on my bookshelf here. But I can put it down when I can fold it up, put it away. All it is a flannel backed vinyl tablecloth. It's awesome. So in my next video, I'll be showing you how I put my rows together, and then we'll put our quilt top together. Again, very simple pattern, but with the bandana print, it's very effective. So I do hope you enjoy this tutorial. Again, this is a playlist. You can see my from beginning to as we go along. I hope you've enjoyed it, folks. Thanks so much for following along. Bye-bye. So for this next part 2 of my bandana, my pink, gray, and white bandana quilt, we're going to be cutting our bandanas or our fabric into 10 1/8 inch blocks. Now, as you know, my bandanas were roughly 22 inches. I've cut off the little rolled hem, and I can cut these down into pretty good 10 1/8 inch blocks. Okay, now because I'm using the bandana print, I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to cut these pretty much all of the same from the same manufacturer with pretty much the same design on them. So I've already done one. What I'm wanting you to have for this is I do have an OmniGrid ruler. All right, this is an OmniGrid. This is a 12.5 inch ruler here, and then I do have a long 24 inch. This is a 5 inch by 24 inch ruler, so I can get the whole length of the bandana. So I'll just pull out one white one here. And then I'll put these aside, and then I'll show you where I measure my bits from. And again, if you are using regular fabric, what you want to do with your 22-inch squares is to cut this in half vertically and then horizontally and trim your blocks to 10 and a 1/8 inch. Now, on my cutting mat, I can see that this isn't exactly 22 inches, all right? Not exactly, but we're going to make it the best we can. Now, I'm going to line this up pretty much on the sides here, as square as we can get it. And then, on my bandanas, again, I'm doing this on my bandanas, I see a mark which is here, and through my little motif here, and then through a mark on the bottom here, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure that that's the middle, how it's been printed from the manufacturer, the middle of my bandana. It's as square as it can be on my board here, and I'm just going to line up my ruler. And I have a lip edge ruler, which is nice. It grabs onto the lip of the my cutting mat here, and I'm just lining this up all the way. As you can see, I'm using the whole length of the mirror, the ruler, and I'm going slowly, and I'm just cutting through that bandana, lifting up my ruler, and because I don't have a rotating mat, I'm just going to line this back up. As you can see, I can line my bandana up really good, make it nice and square, as square as I can. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take my ruler, move this up so you can see it, like so. Push those edges together, straighten it up as best we can. And I'm going to see this mark here. I'm going to go through the middle and through that mark up there. Now this is a rough cut, as it were. I'm going to be now trimming these 4 blocks into 10 and 1/8 inch squares. What I'm going to do is, I'll just put them away. I'm going to start out each block with this center, because of the bandana print, I want them all the exact same. So my center of my bandana print is up here in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to find, this is a nice cut edge, and this is a nice cut edge, so I'm going to put my ruler on the 10 and 1/8 inch mark, lining it up here and lining it there, down there. And as you can see, 10 and 1/8, 10 and 1/8, am I in the frame? Yeah. As you can see, it's just a little sliver of fabric, like so. And then I'm going to turn my ruler so that I'm down in the bottom left. And I'm going to find from the bottom left, again, my 10 and 1/8 and my 10 and 1/8 right there. And then I'm going to be cutting off this right-hand side, like that. And now I have a perfect 10 and 1/8 inch square. I'm going to come and I'm going to pull my next piece down. I'm going to start up with my center motif at the top, because again, this and this is a nice cut edge. I'm going to line it up there. I'm going to cut off this piece over here on the right. I'm going to turn it so my motif is down here, bottom left, lining it up from here, and it's just a little bit that we're cutting off, just a tiny little bit, like so. And then I have a perfect 10 and 1/8 inch square. Again, So after I cut everything, I end up with 24 of what I'm calling my fabric 1. And as you can see, I've oriented all of the center images on the bottom left here. My fabric 2, my gray, which I needed 8 10 1/8 inch squares. I have 8 of them. And then out of my 4 pink squares, I have ended up with 16 10 1/8 inch squares. Now I'm going to go over and I'm going to start marking my lightest fabric, my white fabric 1. So what I'm doing is I have my pile of my fabric 1, and I'm going to have it all in the same order. I'm going to just be turning it over. I have my longer ruler, and I'm going to be marking my bandanas from corner to corner. And I'm going to be marking it so that the image is it now in the bottom right hand corner. I'm just going to turn this around, flip it around like that, and just continue marking. Now when we go over to sew this with our gray and our pink, making our half square triangles, we're going to be sewing on either side, 1/4 inch on either side of this marked line. I'm at my sewing machine and I have my white, my pink, and my gray. And I'll start with my pink, which I have 16 pieces. I'm going to be putting my white on top where I have marked, and I'm going to be turning these so the center motif of the bandanas are matching. So I'm going to be putting the right sides together, the pretty sides of the white to the pink, and all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be chain piecing all of my pieces together. I'm going to be putting down my presser foot, So now that I've sewn all of my squares together, right sides together, this is creating the half square triangles. But what I'm doing right now is I'm going to be cutting on the marked line. I've begun cutting, and because we have a right and a left side of this, when we put the, or what should I say, mirror image, when we put the blocks together, we have that one, and then we have this one. When we put our squares together on our design wall, that's when the figuring it out comes in play. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be making 2 piles here of my sort of my left and my right, and I'll just continue all of my blocks here. I'm lining up where I drew the line, and then I'm just putting these in 2 different piles. So I have finished squaring up my blocks here. And what hopefully you can understand this, I've called this, I have 16, the pinks on the left over here, 16 squared up blocks, and 16 down here, the pinks on the right, 16 right. I have 8 gray and white with 8 with the left up here and the 8 right. As you can see, squaring up is so very important. I hope you realize that, you know, you think, oh, my blocks look really good, and it's a fairly tedious job, but put some music on, and all of that was slivers, just slivers. Look, the slightest of slivers taken off the block, but at the end of the day, all that makes a world of difference to when we put our blocks together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this video. I've prepared all of my fabrics. The last several videos, I've just prepared my bandanas. Again, very simple. Because it's the bandana print, be slightly more careful of my cutting and my sewing together. So I'm going to be putting my blocks up on my design wall, which is actually over here. I'll just show you actually over here. What I have, I might have to put it vertically, or not, maybe I'll lay out my blocks horizontally. I have a very inexpensive tablecloth, vinyl backed dollar store tablecloth, which is ideal for putting my blocks up. You don't need a heavy design board. This is just a tablecloth. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with my preparation of my bandana blocks, and yeah, my next video we'll be putting our quilt together. All right, folks, thank you for following along. I hope you're enjoying this little series here for my bandana quilt. Thank you, Claudia, creating with Claudia, her pattern. All right, love from the Trueloves. Bye-bye.